started. So, hi everyone and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are delighted to have you here. We will present to you on the ServiceNow ESG Office Utility app that automatically collects and presents our Office Utility data. This presentation is brought to you by the ServiceNow Environmental Sustainability team and our digital technology team that were involved in developing and implementing this project. This safe harbor message is just here to remind everyone that today's presentation may contain forward-looking statements and to not make purchase decisions based on the presentation. Before we begin, there's just a few notes on housekeeping. Please stay on mute. There will be time after the presentation for some questions and answers. During the session, please use the Q&A function on Zoom to type out your queries. The session is being recorded, and the recording and these slides will be shared in the ServiceNow community forum in the next 2 business days or so. At the end of the presentation, we will provide links to the community forum websites and other websites that may be referenced during the presentation. Once the session ends, you'll be asked to fill out a short survey, and we would be really delighted if you could do so. If you could, please do so. There are 3 of us presenting today from ServiceNow, and all 3 of us were involved in this project. Myself, I'm Serena Silk. I'm a senior program manager on the environmental sustainability team, and I have been working in ServiceNow almost 3 years.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Sexton. I'm a program analyst on the environmental sustainability team, and I've been working with ServiceNow for just under 2 years.
Hi there. This is Venkat Mandala. I'm a principal technical product manager, and I have been here in ServiceNow for 8 years. Thank you.
So for our presentation today, we will explain to you how our team have implemented a solution that automatically collects and displays utility usage data from our offices, and how we can easily review and analyze that data in our automated dashboard that we have built. The reason we're keen to do this presentation is because our team have benefited from the solution. And so, we wanted to share this project and our knowledge with you, as we think it may be helpful to other teams working in environmental sustainability to learn how you too, can implement this solution within your own organization using the power of the ServiceNow platform. The agenda items for the presentation is shown on screen there. I will start off by giving you an overview of the project background and our requirements, and I'll also explain the solution that we implemented. Next, then I'll hand over to Emily, and Emily will explain the project phases and timeline, and she will also give a short 3-minute demo of our Office Utility dashboard. She'll also explain how we as a team have benefited from this solution. And finally, Venkat, our technical wizard, he will give a high-level technical overview of what's required for you to implement the solution within your own organization using the ServiceNow platform and the apps. Our presentation should take less than 30 minutes. And as I mentioned previously, you will have time at the end to ask your questions, which we will answer. So let's begin and let's look at the background to the project. Okay, so if you work in environmental sustainability and reporting like we do, you most likely need to collect Office Utility data, for input into your carbon footprint, for your ESG reporting, and also possibly to track progress against science-based targets that you may have. In our case, the scale of the monthly data collection was vast, as I am sure it is for you too if you work in a large organization. We collect electricity data from about 18 of our offices and gas and water from about 4 of our offices. In total, we nearly have 150 meters and almost 80 utility accounts that are associated with this data collection alone. And just a side note then, in cases where we cannot get utility data, we simply estimate it based on the office areas. So our data collection came in different formats, and I'm sure you can sympathize with that. Depending on the office we reached out to, we may have got the data in Excel workbooks, we could have got it through email, or sometimes we would have to log on to the utility provider platform to download our usage via Excel workbooks, etc. So to summarize then, our pain points that you may be able to relate to included gathering data from several offices, from several different meters, getting this data in different formats, and to top it all off, the sheer time-consuming and error-prone nature of all of those tasks. Our team needed a simpler solution so that we could concentrate our efforts on more important tasks rather than data collection. When thinking about the solution we wanted, we had some key requirements. Firstly, we required a solution that would automate data collection for us, so we could free up our own time to do more valuable work. We wanted an interactive dashboard that would automatically update and present our utility data so that we could drill down and analyze the results. We needed the ability to download reports in Excel format from the dashboard for our own reporting purposes. And we require the solution to email alerts to us, for example, in cases of unexpectedly high utility usage. So like we want to know those high areas so we could look into them and take action. And finally, we needed the solution to be user-friendly and intuitive, both for our own team in ServiceNow and of course for you, our customers. Next, I'll talk through the solution we put in place that met our requirements that I just discussed. So we decided to use Arcadia for the automated capture of our utility data. And why do we use Arcadia? Because Arcadia connects directly to utilities that provide, electricity, natural gas, water, etc. And Arcadia can automatically capture utility data from over 9,000 utility providers across 52 countries. So their coverage is vast. Arcadia are also a partner of ServiceNow, and we have an API integration with them, so we could leverage the power of the ServiceNow platform. The API integration with Arcadia is also available for all our customers on the ServiceNow App Store, and Venkat will give more information on how you can access that later on in the presentation. At a high level here, the diagram shows how the Arcadia solution works, and there are only 4 basic steps. Step 1, you have to get an account with Arcadia. And once you do that, you just log on to their platform. Step 2, once you're on the Arcadia platform, you search for your office utility providers using a simple search function. Step 3, once you find your utility providers, you simply enter the online username and password that your organization has to access your utility accounts. And entering that simple detail allows Arcadia to directly connect to your utility accounts using those credentials. Step 4, once Arcadia makes the connection to your utility account, the Arcadia bot automatically goes into the utility account, pulls out the monthly bill, reads it, gathers the monthly utility usage data, and sends that data via the API. On this slide here, I'll show you how we used Arcadia for the solution we implemented. So as I explained previously on the last slide, and here's a recap. We got an account with Arcadia. Once we're on the platform, we searched for and found utility providers, entered our credentials, got connected to our accounts, and then the Arcadia bot reads our utility bills and gathers our usage data. So focus on step 3. Arcadia then sends the usage data to the ServiceNow ESG management tool via the API on a monthly basis. Step 4. Utility usage data is then stored on the ServiceNow ESG management tool, and the utility usage data is presented in the ServiceNow ESG Office utility app dashboard for review and analysis. And we're going to demo this dashboard shortly. So I hope that process is clear. As I previously mentioned, Venkat will later on in this presentation, he'll give the technical steps required for you to implement the solution within your own organization and where to access the ServiceNow applications required to build the solution. I will now pass you over to Emily, our Program Analyst in Environment and Sustainability, and Emily will discuss the utility app dashboard, phases and timelines associated with that.
Thank you, Serena. So the first phase of our project was to build the dashboard and get the data from Arcadia into our dashboard via the API, and then to ensure that the data displayed in the dashboard was correct. This phase took about 3 months to implement. And then we moved on to phase 2, during which we focused on improving the user experience. We enhanced the look and the feel of the dashboard to ensure it was easy to use. And this phase took us about 8 weeks to implement. We then moved on to phase 3, where we wanted to enhance the capability and add threshold email alerts that were triggered when usage was more or less than 10% year-over-year monthly variance. This phase took us about 4 weeks to implement. And if those of you joining us today were to implement this solution in your organization, your project timeline would be reduced if you choose to use the enhanced dashboard that we built, which we will show you in our demo. So next, I'll share a pre-recorded 3-minute demo of our dashboard to show you how it works. Here is our custom utility dashboard. As previously explained, data is fed to the dashboard through our API connection with Arcadia. However, if data is not collected by Arcadia, for example, if we receive an Excel workbook with usage, we can manually upload it to the dashboard. Here you can see the dashboard is broken out by utility: electric, water, and natural gas. Each of the other pages, water and natural gas, is designed like our electric one. In the top left corner, we have a year-to-date graph tracking our total usage for 2024. We find this really useful as it provides a quick reference for our current electric consumption in 2024. Here on the top right, we have a year-over-year bar chart by office location. This allows us to analyze variances in consumption for each site and helps indicate if a potential electricity reduction initiative is having the desired impact. This chart has filters for a base year and a comparison year. For example, the base year could be set to 2023 and the comparison year to 2022 to analyze consumption trends. Below, we have 2 bar charts. The top bar chart displays year-to-date monthly usage for each of our office sites. The bar chart below shows the year-to-date monthly usage by meter for each site. We have a number of filters on the left that allows us to drill down and analyze the data in more detail. We can filter by location. I could select Santa Clara, for example, on the west coast of the US, which allows us to easily see what is happening in that region of the country. I am able to filter on specific meters belonging to the site or sites selected in the above location filter. Here I can select the first 3 meters. We also have the ability to expand the graphs for easier view. And we can also filter by year. Selecting a specific year will apply to both bar charts. You can then filter by the sites and meters selected for the year. The export function is really useful. We can use it to download our data to a CSV file for reporting purposes. Note that if a filter is applied, it will only export what is selected. All the filters must be cleared to download all the data. I'll download the data to the CSV file, and I'll return to the presentation to display the export. Here you see we have a CSV file that shows consumption data for all locations, the utility type, meter numbers, and the utility start and end date for each month. So before this tool, it was really a nightmare collecting all of this data. And now we're able to do it with the click of a button. The data is granular enough that it meets our reporting requirements. And this tool has been a really huge help to our team. And so next, I'll talk you through the project benefits. So firstly, now that we've succeeded in automatically collecting our utility usage, we have improved our data accuracy and saved our team approximately 480 hours of work annually. Secondly, with our automated dashboard, we can easily view and analyze the data, and we also have the added benefit of being able to download our usage into an Excel for our reporting needs. Thirdly, with our automated alerts, we can investigate and take action when issues occur, for example, when there is unexpectedly high consumption. And last but not least, the solution is integrated with our ESG management tool, where we can set goals or targets and then tie them back to our usage for data tracking. I'll now hand you over to Venkat, our Principal Technical Product Manager for this project, and he will explain how you, our customers, can implement the solution from the ServiceNow App Store.
Thank you, Emily. Hello, everyone. My name is Venkat, and I'm very excited to talk to you, excuse me, about how to implement this solution for your own organization. Now, there are 11 key steps to go through. They are as follows. The first step involves gathering your online user credentials for your utility providers and checking that Arcadia can connect with them. Step 2 is essentially get contract with Arcadia. And in this stage, you also start creating a project plan, and that will really help ensure a successful project outcome. The next steps 3 and 4, which is search for and connect to your utility providers on the Arcadia platform, as we was previously explained in this presentation. And the next step is to get ServiceNow ESG management tool license. You can work with your ServiceNow account executive to get this enabled. And followed by that, the next step is contact your ServiceNow admin who can help install the following plugins. That includes ESG management, Arcadia ESG integration. The next step is after the instance preparation is complete, including connecting to Arcadia API, import the historical utility data into your ServiceNow instance from Arcadia. Now, the next step is your ServiceNow admin can help you to install the ESG utility dashboard from the Innovation Lab. Just remember, this is not yet out of the box from product, and this is a custom-built solution provided on the Innovation Lab. Your IT team will need to ensure all the required configuration is set up for the dashboard, as outlined in the installation guide. Once the setup is completed, import of utility data into the dashboard happens automatically without any manual intervention. Depending on the schedule of pulling the data from Arcadia, information on the dashboard gets updated. Finally, you should test the dashboard to ensure you see the data as it is reported in your utility bills. Next slide. Here you can find links to the ServiceNow App Store for ESG management tool and the Arcadia ESG integration, and the link to the ServiceNow Innovation Lab for the dashboard is provided here. There's also the link to the ServiceNow community forum site where you can find this presentation and recording. Michelle will now add these links to the chat for your availability. Next slide.
So thank you all for listening. I really hope you found this presentation useful. As I mentioned previously, you can use the Q&A function if you'd like to ask any questions, and we'll be happy to go through them now. So Venkat, do you want to take that question? How easy it would be to scale up? using this app?
Yes, sure. That's a great question. I think, like we called out in our initial presentation, our volume is huge. We are really covering a vast of our real estate portfolio. And as we have tested from a performance standpoint, when we were actually deploying the solution, we did do a kind of a stress load with assumptive work. Records that we anticipate, and we did not see any performance degradation. So in that sense, provided that you get the latest plugin from the innovation lab, because we made sure that architecture for the platform, for the tool, is in line with the whole platform and the product, and also to make sure that we don't end up in performance issues. So you're gonna really able to scale up, with more offices, more, information coming onto the platform.
So next question, is there a way to integrate this with buildings where the landlord sends you an electricity and gas bill and you do not have an account with an energy provider directly? So Emily, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so we have a function that's built into the dashboard where you can upload your own data from a landlord via an Excel sheet, and then you can just add it into the platform yourself.
Okay, next question. What were the main learnings in working with Arcadia and solution? If you could go back in time, what would you do differently? So I'll take that, and then I'll open it up to Emily and Venkat to add your thoughts. For me, I found the whole experience really good, actually. So I was looking for a solution for a long time to see how we would get around, doing all this manual data collection. And I looked at various solutions, and Arcadia to me stood out as, a simple solution that was be easy to get up and running relatively quickly. I think, for me, I did a lot of research into Arcadia to make sure they were the best provider for us. So I would encourage, anyone taking on a new project to research it well before you dive into it to make sure it meets your requirements. And, I met with them quite often in order to develop a project plan before we started. I also ensured that the utility accounts we have, that Arcadia were capable of connecting to them. So I did that before I actually started the project. And it's quite easy to check if there is connection with your utility providers via Arcadia. Overall, just having a really good project plan in place, making sure everyone has clear roles and responsibilities, making sure that you're aware of all your utility accounts and that Arcadia can connect to them, to me was key in making sure the project was a success. Also, I must add that having a vision of where you want the project to go, like what you want your dashboard to look like, really helped. So like, Emily, Venkat and I, we worked with the ServiceNow Design Studio team to figure out, the world's your oyster with this. You can bring this solution to, many phases. So within the dream solution, what would we like it to look like in the future? So we mapped out, before we even start the project, what would we like to get out of this? What is our dream solution? And then we created the project phases in order for us to meet what our dream solution is. And we will continue working on this also. We can add far more to this project going forward. So yeah, I hope it's not too long of a winded response to your question. But yeah, just have a good project plan, having a vision, checking out Arcadia before you start with them, making sure you can connect to your utility accounts was key to me to make sure that the project was a success. Venkat, I'll hand over to you next.
No, yeah, I think I totally agree on what you just highlighted, Serena. And I think on top of it, I just want to highlight that I think obviously stakeholder alignment is also a key thing. In your organization, the team structure, the how the teams perform might be different. So obviously the stakeholder alignment and also alignment with Arcadia in what you're trying to achieve and setting the project plan will really ensure that you have a very successful outcome, rather than, otherwise your timelines might get impacted if everyone is not onboarded. So I think those are the key takeaways. And obviously that second piece is testing. Testing is very critical, which we have done in our phases to make sure really what's been presented in the Arcadia, which is also coming back to our platform, is really what is presented on our utility bills. And I have to tell you, yes, Arcadia does a good job in extracting all the bills as needed, and which all the API also brings in information as it is expected. So that's from my side. Emily, anything from your?
Yeah, I think if I would just add anything in is that as if any of you are familiar with how utilities can present their information, like your data, especially on bills, there can be like periods that are skipped, or it goes 2 months rather than just 1 month. So there is a little bit of Q&A that has to continue to go on in case there are any of those issues with the utility provider. So as Venkat stressed, testing and making sure that the data matches up in the beginning will help to kind of alleviate any of those problems later on.
Absolutely. Any more questions?
Okay, we'll give it another minute to see if anyone else have any questions. No pressure. And I would say, if you think of questions after the presentation, feel free to reach out to either one of us to ask any other queries you may have that you may think of after this presentation ends. Thank you for that great presentation. Utility data is usually a heavy lift. It is. So this level of automation is great. Yeah. Thanks for your kind words, and automation, if done right and works well, definitely is helping our team. We try and automate as much as we can, just so we can focus on more important works on our journey to decarbonisation, etc. So thanks for that. Should we give it another minute, guys, to see if anyone else have anything else? Okay, so I don't think we'll probably get any more questions. And as mentioned at the start of the presentation, we would really appreciate it if you could let us know your thoughts about today's event. If you could please complete the short survey as you exit, we would be really grateful. So thanks again for joining. Thanks for your participation, and bye, and enjoy your weekend.